Materialists, 2025, tells the story of Lucy, a woman living in New York who works as a matchmaker after once attempting acting. Lucy is good at her job. She's helped bring together 9 couples in successful marriages through her firm, Adore. Despite her success connecting others, Lucy holds firm on her own rule. She'll only date or marry a wealthy man, even if it means going without romance for a while. She's a self-declared voluntary celibate with strong ambitions, shaped by the tough realities of love and money in New York City. The film unfolds kind of like a diary of Lucy's days, full of little victories, harsh disappointments, and the pressure of making it in a city where image and wealth mean almost everything. Things begin at a wedding. Lucy is being celebrated for her successful matchmaking. Friends and coworkers raise their glasses and tell stories about how Lucy has the sharpest sense for chemistry, that she somehow knows how to assemble just the right pieces to produce couples that last. We see snippets of Lucy's interactions with her clients, very honest, sometimes blunt, always practical. Dating is treated like a market. People are evaluated by income, looks, height, and age. Both the men and women in this world feel like commodities, each person rating themselves and everyone else, wondering if they're valuable enough to win the right partner. There is a running thread that keeps coming up in various forms. Are we just what we appear to be, or is there something deeper that makes us worthy of love? After the ceremony, Lucy talks shop with her colleague, brainstorming ways to match a client named Sophie. Sophie is one of the main supporting characters, and her journey becomes woven in with Lucy's own. Sophie is realistic and sweet, but the dating market is cruel and keeps rejecting her for not standing out or for being too old at 39. Lucy tries to encourage her, but the feedback from male clients is clear. They want younger, flashier, more valuable women. Watching Sophie take rejection after rejection, even from men who obviously lack her intellect or kindness, really shines a light on some of the pain beneath the surface of this matchmaking world. At this same wedding, Lucy meets Harry Castillo, a successful financier and the brother of the groom. Harry is charming, direct, and, most importantly, wealthy. He's almost the perfect answer to what Lucy has always told herself she needs. But right as she's introduced to Harry, Lucy also bumps into her ex-boyfriend, John, who is working as a caterer for the event. John is an actor still struggling to make his dreams real. The way Lucy and John reconnect is full of bittersweet memories. Their breakup was not because they stopped loving each other, but because of constant fights about money and the exhaustion of trying to keep their relationship alive in a city that measures happiness by bank accounts and brunches, not feelings. The film cleverly sets up a love triangle where every option for Lucy comes with risk and compromise. Harry represents status, stability, and the fulfillment of Lucy's public ambitions, while John symbolizes the powerful but messy emotions Lucy has tried to suppress. As Harry starts courting Lucy, he does all the right things, takes her to nice places, acknowledges her worth, and genuinely seems to respect the drive and independence she radiates. But there's a distance. Money smooths over everything, but it also makes some feelings hard to reach. Lucy agrees to move forward with Harry. Their relationship quickly becomes official in the eyes of their friends and coworkers. Suddenly, Lucy is energized. Her confidence surges at work. She manages to successfully match up Sophie with Mark, a handsome doctor. Instead of just onward and upward, Lucy feels she might be on the right path, that elusive route where everything finally clicks, where the formula works. At the same time, however, she keeps crossing paths with John. Her ex John is sensitive, creative, and very much aware that Lucy still affects his heart. He's open about his feelings but also a little ashamed of his financial struggles. There are moments where Lucy almost gets swept away by their history, remembering what it felt like to fight less about bills and to just belong to someone by choice, not by calculation. A big turning point comes when Lucy and Harry go to see John perform on stage. The event is charged with unspoken tension. John's discomfort at seeing Lucy with someone else is obvious. Afterwards, John corners Lucy and confronts her about why she's with Harry. Is she really happy, or is she running from something? Lucy is defensive, but the question lingers. The story then pivots around a major conflict at work. Lucy's boss, Violet, informs her that Mark, the man Lucy matched with Sophie, assaulted Sophie, and now Sophie is bringing legal action against the agency. This is the crack in Lucy's confidence. Until this point, her matchmaking formula seemed to promise security and predictability. But here, in failing to see danger behind Mark's resume and clean-cut appearance, Lucy is confronted by her own blind spots. The company's official stance is to sweep things under the rug and let the legal team deal with it, but Lucy feels guilty. Ignoring Violet's advice, she reaches out to Sophie. Sophie, hurt and angry, says Lucy never really took the time to protect her, that she just tried to fill the market demand. The friendship ends. Lucy is left rattled. It's the first time her decisions have had such personal, negative consequences. At this low point, Lucy is supposed to be traveling to Iceland with Harry. She has sublet her apartment, but the idea of the trip now fills her with dread. She finally admits to herself that she doesn't love Harry. She breaks things off amicably. Without a place to live, Lucy moves in with John. They take a trip upstate with some money John earned from his show. This intimacy, away from the city and its material pressures, feels honest. At a wedding together, Lucy kisses John and feels a flicker of hope. But Lucy can't shake her ongoing conflict. Her values are split. She tells John she doesn't know if they're getting back together, because part of her is still tied up in that old narrative: survival, pride, the desire not to end up struggling. John confesses that he never stopped loving her and imagines a future together, while Lucy admits her pursuit for money and status blinded her to what matters. Suddenly, Sophie calls in a panic. Mark, the man who assaulted her, is outside her apartment, and the police won't intervene. Lucy and John immediately drive to Sophie's place. Mark runs away, but Lucy helps Sophie file a restraining order. This moment is crucial because it refocuses what the stakes in the story actually are. Love and relationships are not just about chemistry and deals. They're about protecting each other, being responsible, and standing up for the vulnerable. For all her past mistakes, Lucy proves herself willing to do the right thing when it matters. As John and Lucy prepare to say goodbye, John makes a final plea: they should try again as a couple. Lucy, finally breaking through her fears, agrees. The ending unfolds softly. Lucy's boss Violet offers her a promotion, the chance to run the New York office of Adore. Lucy, however, now thinks about leaving the company and the marriage market behind, but she hesitates, not yet sure how to rewrite her life. During a simple lunch in Central Park, John proposes. Lucy accepts, sealing it with a kiss. In the credits, we see glimpses of various couples, including Lucy and John, getting marriage licenses. Life goes on. Love takes many forms, and though not every match is perfect, there's always the possibility of growth and healing. Throughout the film, the world of Materialists is one where everyone is always performing, whether for love, money, or acceptance. Each character rides the fine line between genuine desire and what they've been taught to want. The repeated references to value, both as self-worth and literal financial value, echo in nearly every conversation. In Lucy's profession, a person's height can be surgically enhanced, a fuller bank account can almost double social value, and age is a ticking clock for both dreams and love. The film uses very plain, often funny dialogue to let the audience see beneath the glittery surface to the exhaustion and quiet desperation. The film's main message is in its title. Everyone is a materialist, to some degree. In New York, even love is a luxury good. The matchmaking firm, Adore, doesn't just promise love, it sells hope, status, and the feeling of being chosen. This idea plays out most sharply with Lucy. She's not just matching others, she's trying to match herself to a worth that feels difficult to reach. Her candor, humor, and sharp business sense make her likable, but also prone to cruelty when she's too focused on results rather than reality. Sophie's arc acts as a parallel cautionary tale. Despite her kindness and accomplishments, she's passed over for being ordinary in an environment that's obsessed with what sets people apart. Her heartbreaks show the limits of treating love like a numbers game. The disastrous match with Mark is the harshest lesson of all. a reminder that relying on stats and resumes while ignoring stories and warnings ends up hurting real people. Sophie's experience forces Lucy to question not only her practices, but also the industry she works in. John's character stands for a different approach. He's creative and, in almost every measurable way, a worse catch than Harry. He doesn't have a stable income, he's awkward with money, and he hasn't made it. But John brings to the table something the others do not: devotion, vulnerability, and a willingness to start from scratch, again and again, for love. The movie sprinkles bits of symbolism throughout. "Don't look at the moon tonight, you'll never be in the house," Lucy repeats to herself at times, recalling an old belief that yearning after impossible things only leaves you stranded. The moon here hints at longing for love that is too far away or outside one's reach because of practical or material obstacles. Weddings recur as symbols too, not just as romantic milestones, but as complicated, high-pressure business deals, deeply revealing of what each person in attendance values most. For Charlotte, the bride in the opening wedding, the marriage is about winning, about feeling more valuable than her sister. For her, and maybe at first for Lucy, love is both personal and competitive, a commodity to be earned and displayed. The ending cements the idea that love in real life is often imperfect and comes with risk. Lucy doesn't pick the right man by everyone else's standards. She chooses John, chooses uncertainty, messy finances, compromise, but also the realness of emotional connection. The way Lucy finally says yes to John, at a picnic in the park, puts away all the theories and formulas. In the end, the head and the heart have to agree. Rather than leaving everything tied up with a neat bow, the story closes with snapshots of other couples, some probably happy, some probably not, but all stepping forward willingly. This choice in the film avoids fairy tale simplicity. Even after the credits roll, it's clear: love is less about winning or being chosen than about showing up, forgiving, making mistakes, and sometimes, risking comfort for something real. Materialists can be compared to other romantic dramas like The Wedding Planner, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or even shows like Sex and the City, when New York's dating scene is both a playground and a battlefield. But where those stories often lean on snappy banter and inevitable happy endings, Materialists lingers on small wounds and doubts. It lays bare how much women, especially, are made to feel their value drops as they age, or that happiness is something bought or bartered rather than built. It also shares a kinship with films like Marriage Story, through its honest, sometimes uncomfortable look at why relationships fall apart. There's also a touch of Past Lives, another Celine Song film, in the way that characters must decide between the life they imagined and the one that's possible right now. The dialogue about money, awkward, brutal, funny, and sad, underscores another message. In our world, everyone, even those who claim otherwise, are shaped by material forces. Lucy's confession to John, that she hated him for being broke and hated herself more for feeling that way, is maybe the film's most honest moment. She says what a lot of people feel but are too embarrassed to admit. Love does not exist in a vacuum. It's not pure or untouched by rent, parking tickets, or dinner tabs. But admitting that is the first step in figuring out how to move beyond it. In the end, Lucy and John's wedding isn't glamorous or high stakes. It's a quiet ceremony, one story among many. Lucy's willingness to finally put her own rules aside, to trust in forgiveness, and to let love be what it wants to be, not what she thinks she deserves, is the point. It's about learning that value isn't something set by a person's resume or bank balance. It comes from staying, helping, and seeing someone clearly, flaws and all. Materialists leaves the audience with a sense that, if there is a secret to love, it's about showing up for each other, even after we've been measured and found lacking in someone else's eyes. The film asks viewers to reflect on what they measure in others, what they value in themselves, and what risks they're willing to take if the reward is messy, unpredictable, and honest love. The movie ends not with a grand promise, but with a possibility, one that's shaky, hard-won, and all the more hopeful for it. Lucy's story in Materialists is a very modern one, set in New York City, where love and money often get tangled up, sometimes in ways people can't even see coming. Lucy was once a struggling actress but now works as a matchmaker at a company called Adore. She finds partners for other people and has already helped form 9 marriages, which is a big deal in her job. But even though she works with romance every day, she is careful with her own love life. She avoids relationships and says she'll only date or marry a rich man. It's not just snobbishness. She knows being poor is hard because she grew up that way, and even her last relationship fell apart because of money problems. The film kicks off with the wedding of one of her successful matches, a clear sign to everyone that Lucy is good at her job. At the fancy party, she gets approached by Harry Castillo, a very wealthy financier who is also the brother of the groom. Harry is smooth and direct. He shows that he likes her right away. Lucy, not quite sure about his intentions, brushes him off and suggests he join the company as a client instead. She thinks guys like Harry just want someone young and pretty, so she doesn't really expect anything for herself. Then, out of nowhere, Lucy runs into her ex, John. He's working as a caterer at the wedding and is still chasing an acting career that hasn't taken off. Even though it's awkward seeing him, there's still a kind of comfort there, a reminder of what they had. They chat about their old relationship, which ended mainly because they couldn't pay the bills together. The meeting is friendly but carries a weight of the things they didn't resolve, mostly about money and dreams. Harry doesn't give up on Lucy, though. He starts pursuing her in ways that are new to Lucy: nice restaurants, expensive dates, sweet compliments. Lucy is at first confused. She wonders why a rich, handsome guy like Harry would go for her when he could have anyone. She lays out her case: she's older, she has student debt, she's not rich or glamorous, and she's not even as pretty as the much younger women he could be dating. Harry listens but tells her those things don't matter to him. He appreciates her mind, her self-worth, and her approach to life. He argues that he's not looking for someone just to look good on his arm. He wants a real partner. He likes that Lucy understands how the world works and still tries to do things right. Slowly, Lucy starts seeing Harry differently. She's used to being the person who matches up others, but now she's the one being courted and chosen. Harry isn't only about the money for her, but she can't shake off how money makes every interaction easier, smoother, more comfortable. She feels herself drawn in, and not just because of Harry's looks or wealth, but also because of how he makes her feel valued, respected, wanted. Lucy agrees to start dating Harry seriously, and oddly enough, her work begins to improve as well. She seems more energetic, matching up her oldest client, Sophie, with another guy named Mark. Everything feels like it's becoming perfect, but love stories in real life rarely go so smoothly. Lucy and Harry go together to John's play, which John worked hard to put together. John is quietly heartbroken to see Lucy there with another man, especially someone so obviously wealthy and successful. That night, after the show, John takes Lucy aside and asks questions about her new romance. For him, it's confusing why she's suddenly attached to the sort of man she always said she disliked. Lucy feels unsettled, both by John's sadness and by her own feelings towards Harry. Then sudden trouble strikes at work. Lucy's boss, Violet, calls her into the office with bad news. Sophie, the client Lucy had recently matched up, has been assaulted by Mark, her date, and Sophie is suing the company. Violet tells Lucy to stay out of it and let the company's lawyers handle things, but Lucy can't let it go. She contacts Sophie, apologizes deeply, and Sophie, hurt and angry, ends their friendship. Lucy is rattled. Her confidence in her career, which was just growing, drops again, and she wonders if maybe she isn't as good at matchmaking as she thought. Lucy's personal life spirals too. She had planned a big, fancy trip to Iceland with Harry, even sublet her apartment to be away, but something feels wrong inside. The more time she spends with Harry, the more she realizes she just doesn't love him. The relationship feels empty, like it's just going through motions because it's right on paper. He's rich, she's successful, they look good on dates, but there's no deep love. Lucy breaks up with Harry gently, explaining she can't force herself to feel something that isn't there. With her apartment gone for the time being, Lucy turns to John, her ex, and moves in. There is something about being with John, shared memories, old jokes from when they dated, moments that feel safe. John isn't rich or famous, but he cares for her, and she can be herself around him. They take a trip upstate together, a small vacation paid for with the money John got from his play. During a wedding they attend, nostalgia and feelings run high, and Lucy kisses John. Still, when John asks her if this is them getting back together for real, Lucy can't say yes. She's not sure yet. Her values are still tangled. Does she want wealth and comfort, or does she want real love, even if it means financial uncertainty? John, however, opens up honestly. He tells Lucy he never stopped loving her, and he can still picture a future together. In his eyes, Lucy's past fixation on money and security was just a way of protecting herself, but it doesn't make their love any less real. Lucy confesses she once put the pursuit of wealth above their love. She feels small and guilty about it, but John doesn't judge her. After this, the pace of life picks up again. Lucy gets a sudden call from Sophie, who is terrified. Mark, the man who assaulted her, is outside her apartment, and the police won't help. Lucy and John rush to save her, and when they arrive, Mark flees, but Lucy helps Sophie file a restraining order. The moment is intense, but it makes Lucy feel needed, responsible, like she's more than just someone who fixes updates. Now, John makes one final, emotional plea for Lucy to give their relationship another shot. This time, Lucy agrees, seeing that her feelings for John are stronger and deeper than anything she had with Harry. Soon after, Lucy gets another curveball. Her boss Violet offers her a promotion. Lucy was already considering quitting after everything that happened with Sophie, but now she's not sure. It's a big step up, the kind of stable, successful life she once dreamed about. The story ends in a gentle, quietly hopeful moment. Lucy and John are having a casual lunch in Central Park. John proposes, right then and there, no grand gestures, just an honest, simple question. Lucy says yes, sealing it with a kiss. The credits show scenes of happiness for many of the couples Lucy has put together, especially her and John, as they get their marriage license. It's a humble ending, but it feels right. Love doesn't always come with fireworks, but sometimes it's about choosing the person who feels like home. Looking at the characters, Lucy is someone who always works hard but feels she can only win in life by changing herself, by becoming the kind of woman you need to be for rich men to notice you. Her own experiences with poverty and failed dreams push her to put up walls. She is smart, funny, a little stubborn, but not cynical. She wants love, she's just scared of making the same mistakes as before. Watching Lucy helps us see how money influences self-worth, especially for women in a society that judges them by looks, income, and background. Harry, on the other hand, is the model of the perfect bachelor. He's rich, confident, respectful, even kind. He represents the kind of security Lucy always thought she wanted. But underneath the charm, what he offers is only material, fancy dates, the promise of stability. His interest in Lucy is genuine, but he thinks value comes from intangible things: trust, respect, the ability to be a team. It's not Harry's fault that Lucy doesn't love him. The romance between them fails not because he's bad, but because Lucy needs something he can't offer: emotional messiness, growth, acceptance. With John, it's the reverse. He has none of Harry's success, no big job, no penthouse, still fighting for his acting dream. But John offers the one thing Lucy can't buy: unconditional love, patience, and emotional safety. Their connection feels imperfect, because it comes with insecurity about the future, but it's also real, messy, and human. The moments Lucy and John share are not showy, but they are honest, giving both of them space to be flawed and to choose each other not because it's practical, but because it's right for them. Sophie's story, woven in as a subplot, is about the risks of matchmaking and dating in the modern world. Despite all the algorithms and careful interviewing, sometimes people get hurt. Sophie, like many, puts her trust in a system meant to find her love but instead ends up traumatized. When Lucy apologizes and Sophie can't forgive her, it shows that even with the best intentions, the process of sorting through love as if it's a business can go badly wrong. Throughout the film, there are deep themes about love, money, risk, and what it means to choose a partner. Lucy's job makes her think about dating as a series of checklists: income, age, looks, background. Clients at a door are shown with their impossible lists of expectations, wanting to customize their ideal partner. But time after time, Lucy has to remind herself and her clients that people aren't luxury products. You can't build the perfect person or predict everything about love. Dating is risky, messy, full of uncertainty. The movie uses New York City wonderfully as a backdrop: skyscrapers, fancy restaurants, apartments that cost more than most people can imagine, but also little streets, small theaters, cramped rooms. There are sharp contrasts between wealth and struggle everywhere. For Lucy, every part of the city reminds her of where she came from and where she could go. Her choices about love always feel tied up in her bank account and her address. There is a lot of symbolism throughout. Lucy is always on the move, never rooted in any one place, which shows how she's unsure of her life. When she sublets her apartment for Iceland, she literally has nowhere to go, mirroring how lost she feels inside. The play John acts in, and Lucy watching it, represents what they once hoped for and maybe what they can still be to each other. Characters trying to make sense of their lives on a stage, waiting to see if someone will clap for them. There's foreshadowing when Lucy talks about clients wanting unicorns, impossible partners who are perfect in every way. Harry is that unicorn, but in the end, it's John, messy and struggling, who is really her match. The very title, Materialists, refers to how easily love can be confused with material comfort. Lucy has to work through her beliefs about money to find out what she really wants. Hidden in the story are questions about class and gender. Lucy knows that men and women face different pressures. For men like Harry, money and status are the ticket to almost any life they want. For women like Lucy, money is both a shield and a prison. Other clients at a door: a woman who only wants a young, fit guy, and another who lists 30 different requirements, show how modern dating can get stuck on superficial attributes. Lucy tries to manage their expectations, but she's just as lost as they are at times. At the end, the film asks if happiness really comes from finding a partner who ticks every box. Lucy tried that with Harry and realized she wasn't in love. She goes back to John, risky as it feels, choosing connection over comfort. The wedding license scene is understated, showing happiness as something small and real, not flashy. Love is about imperfect people making an honest promise, not about achieving some impossible standard. Materialists can be compared to other romance films and shows that look at love among the rich. Think of movies like Crazy Rich Asians or series like Sex and the City. But Materialists is less about showing off money and more about questioning what money does to people on the inside. It's closer in spirit to something like The Big Sick or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where love is about accepting flaws rather than buying perfection. The ending is especially meaningful. For Lucy, being proposed to by John in the middle of Central Park, without fanfare, is finally getting what she needs. This proposal isn't about money or status. It's a simple question about the future, asked by someone who has always seen her real value. For John, finally being chosen is a reward for his patience and faith in their messy, shared history. By agreeing to marry him, Lucy tells herself and everyone watching that taking a risk for love is worth more than any amount of money in the bank. At the heart of everything is the message that loving someone, and being loved, is never about earning it through status or wealth. It's about seeing and accepting another person completely, flaws and all. Lucy's journey is really about learning to value herself, and then choosing a partner who values her for the right reasons. Through all the fancy dinners, awkward dates, and tough work days, that's what makes Materialists a story with real heart. Lucy is a young woman who once dreamed of becoming an actress but, after many years of struggle and never really finding success, she found a different path for herself as a matchmaker in New York City. Working at Adore, a high-end matchmaking service, she is proud of the career she has built out of bringing people together in love, even if her own love life doesn't mirror the happily ever afters she arranges for clients. Lucy has a rule for herself: she's voluntarily celibate, and will only break her rules for someone who is truly wealthy. Her line of work surrounds her with luxury, ambition, and people who want to buy happiness, but she can't help feeling distanced from real connection. She acts with certainty and efficiency, pairing people together based on dozens of designer checklists, social compatibility interests, but above all, status and appearance. Even though methodical in her work, Lucy is lonelier than she admits. At one of her successful match's weddings, Lucy is approached by Harry Castillo, the groom's brother, who is a handsome and extremely wealthy financier. Harry is charming, unafraid, and expresses romantic interest right away. Lucy, who keeps her personal and professional boundaries rigid, tries to deflect Harry's advance, instead suggesting that he become a client at a door. Her insistence on keeping love transactional sets an early tone for how Lucy sees herself and others, as commodities to be traded for value, affection, or advancement. It isn't just Harry who reappears in her life that night, though. John, Lucy's ex-boyfriend, happens to be working the same event as a caterer. He is a tender, struggling actor, her old flame from a simpler time, when both were poor but in love. Seeing John stirs up old memories and heartache, especially as they recall how their relationship was torn apart by financial struggle and unmet ambitions. Despite her attempts to stay aloof from Harry, he pursues her with persistence. Harry takes Lucy to expensive restaurants and gives her attention that flatters her, but there's an underlying negotiation playing out. Lucy can't help but wonder if his attraction to her is a game, if she is another prize to be claimed in his successful life. Harry assures her he respects her principles and sees her as special. Eventually, Lucy lets herself lower her guard and they start officially dating. Their relationship is transactional at its core. She offers him access to her world, wit, and charm. He offers her the luxury and security she claims to crave. Professionally, the upswing in her personal life breathes new confidence into Lucy's work. She manages to make a particularly proud match for her longtime client Sophie with a man named Mark, celebrating what she believes is an excellent pairing. In the midst of these developments, Harry suggests more intimacy and commitment, while John, still in Lucy's periphery, tries to process her budding romance with someone so unlike him. Lucy brings Harry to see John's play, putting her ex and her new boyfriend in direct contact, and the tension is clear. While Lucy is enjoying new heights at work and in her supposed dream relationship, doubts about her decisions start to surface. The mood changes dramatically when Lucy's boss, Violet, brings her bad news. Sophie, her close client and friend, is actually suing Adore because Mark, the man Lucy matched her with, assaulted her. Violet attempts to console Lucy, saying that burnout is common and that Lucy just needs a break, but Lucy feels crushed by guilt. The successful, glossy world she built begins to appear shallow and deceptive. Sophie reviews Adore as a scam, angry that the expert she relied on matched her, not with love, but with someone who hurt her. Sophie's words pierce Lucy to her very core. "I thought we were friends." Sophie points out how algorithmic and impersonal the matchmaking process was. Lucy knew salary, height, job, but not the man, not the person who could harm her. Lucy tries to apologize, desperate to fix what's broken, but Sophie sees her as complicit, treating people as goods to be paired off. Sophie sees herself as worthless merchandise. To Lucy, someone she could just pawn off. Sophie's declaration, "I am not merchandise, I am a person and I deserve love," hits hard, making Lucy reconsider the entire basis for her career and self-worth. Their friendship is over, and Lucy's sense of herself is in pieces. Lucy spirals after this event. Without much direction, she calls John, the only person with whom she feels she can be brutally honest about her failure and guilt. She's not supposed to talk about the lawsuit, but she confides in him anyway, seeking comfort. John listens and reassures her, sharing a kind of quiet understanding that comes from their history. Their conversation is warm, honest, and open in a way that Lucy's life with Harry never quite manages. The bond between Lucy and John is about vulnerability, sadness, shared disappointment, and empathy rather than status and perfection. Harry and Lucy plan a trip to Iceland together, but as the date approaches, Lucy can't pretend anymore. A conversation with Harry reveals more hidden truths. Harry and his brother once underwent leg-lengthening surgery, something that allowed them to meet the arbitrary minimums women often searched for, like 6 feet tall. Lucy, who has spent her professional life measuring people by such boxes, is confronted with the literal cost people will pay to fit into these categories. Harry asks Lucy if knowing this about him would change things, but Lucy admits her real problem. She doesn't truly love Harry, and he doesn't love her either. She tells him that love, real love, isn't a business deal, and while matching checkboxes can make for a comfortable arrangement, it can't generate actual passion or connection. They break up in a moment of mutual understanding. With her apartment sublet for Iceland and nowhere to go, Lucy shows up at John's apartment. She's vulnerable in a way she hasn't allowed herself to be with Harry. John welcomes her, offering his messy, honest life as a safe harbor for Lucy's storm. They decide to drive upstate, funded by the small stipend John received from his acting work. Their getaway is emotionally charged but laced with uncertainty. At a wedding they attend together, Lucy kisses John, and John seizes on a glimmer of reconciliation. But Lucy still struggles. Is she only here because comfort and familiarity are easy? Or has she finally released her obsession with status? John admits he has always loved her, still does, and dreams about a future together. Lucy recognizes that her years of trying to trade up for money and lifestyle have left her emotionally bankrupt. She confesses that in her pursuit of wealth, she lost sight of genuine love. Life interrupts when Lucy gets an urgent call from Sophie. Mark, her assaulter, is outside her apartment. Lucy, with John's help, rushes to Sophie's side. Even though they can't confront Mark directly, he flees. Lucy supports Sophie in getting a restraining order. It's here, acting not as a matchmaker but as a friend, that Lucy finds a sense of purpose and redemption. As they leave, John tries again, asking Lucy if she wants to rekindle their relationship. Lucy, for all her uncertainty, says yes. Afterwards, Lucy meets with Violet, who announces that the London office has asked for recommendations to promote someone as head of Adore's New York office. To Lucy's surprise, Violet wants her to take over. Lucy confesses she was actually going to quit, feeling too disillusioned to keep pairing people without heart. Violet, not wanting to lose her best matchmaker, encourages her to think it over, promising a bigger salary and more support. Lucy laughs, torn between the security and structure she's always sought and her new understanding that life, and love, can't always be measured by titles or paychecks. The movie wraps up with Lucy and John meeting for a casual lunch in Central Park. John, as simple, hopeful, and unpolished as ever, proposes to Lucy. This time, Lucy doesn't hesitate. She says yes, sharing a kiss. In the background, the credits roll, showing Lucy and John and other couples celebrating love, not in five-star hotels or fancy offices, but at the ordinary marriage license office, capturing quiet, authentic joy. Materialists tries to pull apart the world of luxury matchmaking, showing how people like Lucy, who think they know the rules to love, can be blinded by superficial markers, money, height, style, while missing the crucial factor, real connection. The movie examines every character through this lens. Lucy treats her position at Adore like therapy for the lonely rich, but the movie is honest about the limitations of anyone promising love as a commodity. The casual conversation with her boss, Violet, hits on some of the film's major themes. Violet says they're better than therapists, because clients will tell them anything. Yet, the whole operation is built on the fragile hope that love can be delivered like a product, customized and transactional. The movie's message is that while people crave the shortcuts to happiness, hire the matchmaker, check the boxes, buy the lifestyle, there is no algorithm for happiness. The character of Sophie serves as a reflection of Lucy's moral crisis. Their relationship started as professional but grew personal. When Sophie sues Adore after suffering real harm, her words to Lucy expose how Lucy, without meaning to, treated her like inventory. Sophie's point that she deserves love, and not just any match, but the right one, breaks through Lucy's professional armor, and the audience understands that even the most sophisticated systems can let people down when they value profile over personhood. Harry, Lucy's ideal match, illustrates another angle. He is the embodiment of material success, wealthy, handsome, by design, connected. But even Harry cannot buy Lucy's real affection, just as Lucy can't force herself to feel passion for a resume. Their breakup is almost businesslike. They both say the right words, admit it won't work, and move on. Harry's confession about his surgery, done to fit a dating app checkbox, is quietly tragic. He literally changed his body, which should be intimate and unique, just to fit a marketplace of attraction. This is a blunt metaphor for how people in Lucy's line of work, and the modern dating world, are trained to change and sell themselves. When Lucy realizes that not even Harry's wealth can fill the absence she feels, she finally accepts that love and security do not always go together. John, on the other hand, is everything Lucy tried to leave behind: poor, underemployed, awkward. But John never tries to be something he's not. He loves Lucy without calculation, and even in their lowest moments, their conversations are deeply honest. His proposal at the end is almost cliché, yet it feels right because, after all the bargaining and status games, it's simple. The dream Lucy describes at the end, wondering what made the first couple of cave people fall in love, is significant. She wonders if it was about status, matching backgrounds, or something more mysterious. Lucy's journey is about rediscovering that love, though sometimes messy and imperfect, is not about measurable compatibility. The movie suggests that something about us, about people, goes deeper than any box you can tick. Materialists is also critical of New York's luxury dating culture, where love is treated as the final item to acquire in a life of relentless self-improvement. Several scenes emphasize this, especially the ongoing banter in the Adore office. Staff members joke about clients' absurd demands, and Lucy voices growing disillusionment with how transactional everything has become. The list of client requirements, height, income, profession, attractiveness, resembles shopping more than romance. The industry's success stories, like all the marriages Lucy mentions, are weighed against silent failures and even tragedies like Sophie's. There's a strong sense of foreshadowing when Lucy is told repeatedly that burnout is common in her profession. Matchmaking, especially at the level Adore operates, is emotionally draining, because trying to manage other people's happiness without real power is a losing game. Underneath the zippy dialogue and beautiful settings, the film's mood turns somber as Lucy confronts the human cost of her success. It asks the audience, can you really control love? Or are all our attempts to package and perfect it doomed to fail? Symbolically, Lucy's job represents not just matchmaking but all the ways in which modern life turns intimacy into something transactional: dating apps, personal brands, the endless negotiation for a better position or partner. The term, materialists, refers not only to people who want more stuff, but to those who treat relationships like acquisitions. Lucy starts as the perfect materialist, ambitious, logical, searching for status, and ends as someone finally able to choose messiness and love over comfort and security. The ending, where Lucy chooses John and accepts his proposal, is deliberately not a fairy tale. Even as John proposes, their conversation touches on doubts, about growing to hate each other, about infidelity, divorce, about whether doing it differently than their parents matters. The film points out the real risks and anxieties attached to commitment. Many romantic comedies end in marriage, but Materialists invites us to see marriage not as the finish line, but as another uncertain beginning, filled with both hope and peril. In its use of dialogue and setting, the film is reminiscent of other modern romance dramas like Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story and Greta Gerwig's Frances Ha, but with its own angle. Here, relationships are underscored by commerce. The focus on matchmakers as quasi-therapists brings to mind shows like Netflix's Indian Matchmaking or Bravo's Millionaire Matchmaker. But instead of celebrating the industry, Materialists peels back the glossy veneer to reveal the toll it takes on those inside and outside it. Lucy's story is not just about choosing between two men, it's about learning to value herself and others as more than commodities. Her decision to stay with John doesn't guarantee happiness. The movie refuses a strictly happy or tragic ending. Instead, it offers a nuanced hope. Love is hard, imperfect, risky, and can't be calculated, but it's also unpredictable and beautiful when you let go of the algorithms and embrace the unknown. By the epilogue, as we see flashes of couples at the city clerk's office, Materialists comes full circle. What started as an operation to steer people's choices for money returns to the simplicity of two people choosing each other, in all their imperfection and uncertainty. Lucy's arc, from shrewd, guarded, status-chasing matchmaker to someone willing to risk her future on love instead of a sure thing, suggests that happiness can't be manufactured or bought, and meaning comes from facing life with openness and honesty, even when it's scary. The film doesn't offer answers so much as permission to stop chasing perfection and allow life and love to surprise us.